So this is page 67 of the Christmas Carol, the 1843 version. These are some friends of mine. Well, this is my buddy, who I've known most of my life, and my father, dressed up like the ghost at Christmas present, and my dad is dressed up like Scrooge. So the ghost of Christmas present is dressed up sort of in a bathrobe that I got on Amazon for like 45, 47 bucks. He's carrying a torch that's lit, so I went to my parents' woodpile and got a stick that I thought kind of resembled it, something with a little bit of character to it. And then there's the Christmas tree in the background. I used that on page, I think, 68. And it's just in my parents' living room. I know it's not 1843 exactly historically accurate, but it's not that much dissimilar either. I've been to a couple of museums in referencing this project, and basically those museums were the house that I grew up in. The house I grew up in was a log cabin, and Wisconsin became a state in like 1848, and a lot of these buildings were built in the early 1830s or 1840s, so we're looking at the best architecture from Europe, basically England, that they wanted to emulate. Like, if you're building a house, you're going to build a house based off the things that you like. So they were taking the best modern architecture of things from the 1840s and building it here. So the amount of reference material that we have here, even in Wisconsin, for a project like this is absolutely mind-blowing. But enough about the architecture. What am I doing here? I'm using a program called Adobe Illustrator CS6. I'm drawing with vectors. Vectors are lines. It's not like Photoshop where they use dots. And I'm tracing over an image that I took. We staged out this photo and we got everybody in the right spots based off of what the original text says. This is the original 1843 edition from the Cleveland Public Library, where they have, luckily, first edition donated that I was able to get a copy of. So thank you, Cleveland Public Library. Shout out to everybody who works there who helped me on that part of the project over these last couple of years. Even with COVID, kind of got a little sidetracked. I thought I'd have to drive 8 hours to go down there, but luckily they were able to get me a copy of that text. And we just went around this and got it all ready and updated the text. That's mostly done. Now it's getting the last 50 drawings done before next Christmas. The date here today is December 23rd. I thought I'd have it done by this Christmas, but that came and went, and that did not happen. So we're shooting for 2024 now. As far as these drawings and everything, it's just about putting in the time. It's about working, getting things right. It's not so much. Adobe Illustrator does have a image trace option, but you gotta do it on your own. I'm sure that there's some sort of AI software, but I don't know how to use it. I'm following my own style for this. Well, it's not my own style. The thing about this is that God is the artist. I'm just tracing what God has made. God has made the perfect drawings already, the perfect references here. All that I'm doing is taking photos of people and tracing that to hopefully give more glory to his name through these projects. The world is really lacking Christian voices right now, especially in entertainment. So this is something that I think families are looking for, entertainment that they can show, that show their values, and that's what this project hopefully will do. So what we did on this, the program, I work a day job, and I had another hour's worth of drawings before this where you see my dad dressed up like Scrooge, and I had to go away, and the screen capturing program did not save that file. So this is part 2. For the laurel wreath on his head, I traced every single of the leaves individually and already had that done. So this is already probably an hour in to the project, and I think this was another hour's worth of drawing. So 2 hours of drawing for one illustration, which isn't atypical. I think I'm between an hour to 2 hours per drawing. And by the time you fiddle around and get everything together, you can probably expect about 3 hours of drawing. I think if I got 100 illustrations in this project, I got about 300 hours of illustration. So I plan on this project having taken me 600-700 hours. A book usually takes me 100 hours. So this is a time-intensive project. I wouldn't be doing it unless I believed that this was the right thing to be doing. It's beyond the point of trying to get a return on investment now. It's just getting it done and trying to do the best job that I saw. I noticed that this is the point, maybe about 5 minutes from now in this drawing. This is sped up 2 times speed, but where I felt like I was just kind of going through the motions. It just felt off when I was illustrating it today. Well, when I was tracing it, it didn't feel like I was getting the points in the right spot. It just felt, and I'm hundreds of hours into this project. Things should be going smoother. And it wasn't until I stopped and start thinking, hey, I want to give this the best work that I can do. Is this reflective of the best work I can do? And so I took some time and tried to make it better. Here's the eyebrows. Here's the eyes. It's really tricky doing white on white. This area I always wonder about whether I should be doing one spot with the eyes and the eye, all the whole eye thing as one, like I did here, or whether I should do it as 2 separate things. But it's such a small area. One thing that I have noticed is that the lines here, with a hard edge, it can look a little rough. Most illustrators use Photoshop, actually, I think, or a similar, like, not vector, but raster program where it's points instead of lines, and it seems a little counterintuitive because why would you be using a photo software for illustration? But it's to build up those layers and to not have the hard edges, is my understanding. So one of the things that I use to get around it is to use a brush setting on the edges of the lines instead of using hard edge, so that I can kind of have it blend a little bit better. I do think in vector, I don't think in raster, so it's really hard to make it work that way. There are a little bit of workarounds, but these illustrations, one of the hard things is that I've been using a lot of transparency. You'll see use 10% to 100% transparency to sort of blend it. Since you're using lines, you can't exactly blend very easy, so to get around it is to use transparency. But I started to realize that this project really kind of calls for hard edges, and the messy charcoal ink brush chalk 1800s style that would have been around in this industrial age with the sooty London would have been not really conducive to transparency layers like that. It's more of a harder edge to get the drawing correct. That's just in my estimation. Just working on those transparency layers to make it look right. It is a lot of fiddling around, trying to get it right. A lot of times I have a difficulty getting. You can make your color palette more of it. I'm just using a lot of the standard ones and just going with instinct. But some of it could be better. Speaking of which, I know we're only 10 minutes into this thing, but I gotta get back and get the next drawings done because in 2 hours we gotta leave for church for the weekend. So I gotta get another page done hopefully before then. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of these drawings, and I really appreciate your support for this project. Have a great weekend and Merry Christmas.